Hello, welcome to a new video series called Introduction to Interactive LED Art. Are you interested in interactive art projects? Every week for the next 4 weeks, I will share tips, insights, and behind-the-scenes looks into my art practice using live and pre-recorded videos. I am hoping to provide access to this series via ASL, English, and captions, but I am a one-man operation, so it might not always be possible to provide each of these things. I will do my best, though. For my Patreon supporters, I will share source code and project files if they are used in a session. You can find the link to my Patreon account in the video description. So who am I? My name is Miles Sebastian. I develop interactive technology and art installations to transform sound into light and vibration. My work has appeared in the Portland Art Museum, the Oregon Museum of Science and Industry, Portland Institute for Contemporary Art, and on the Jimmy Kimmel live show. I have brought large-format installations from music festivals and Grammy-award-winning artist Esperanza Spalding, and I'm also the founder of the Northwest Deaf Arts Festival. Some of my past projects include Cymatic Star, which appeared in the Portland Art Museum, and the Seeing Sounds LED piano, which appeared in the Oregon Museum of Science and Industry. Last year, I was approached by CNN's Great Big Story to create a video of my work. I'd like to show you the video now, as it serves as a great introduction, so let's play an excerpt from that. Pretty cool, huh? I enjoyed shooting that video and working closely with the Great Big Story film crew. I designed a full-stage lighting display featuring Cymatic Star, which you can see behind me, and an additional custom LED fixture to visualize the sound of high guitar performance. We'll be taking a closer look at that work later in this video series. For now, if you would like to, you can see more examples of my work on my portfolio website. The link is also in the video description below. Alright, moving on. Over the course of this video series, we will cover as much ground as we can. Creating interactive LED art is a big topic, but based on the poll that I posted on Facebook and from the feedback I had gotten, I will focus on two main areas. The first area will be project basics. I will cover aspects of designing, planning, budgeting, fabrication, and assembly of LED art projects. These are all useful skills that you can develop over time. I will share tips and examples from each aspect. I will focus more on do-it-yourself approaches that are easy to learn without much prior experience, as well as keeping things such as the material cost for a project build affordable. I'll also show you when to cut corners and when not to. The second main area that people are interested in, and is also what I feel makes my work more unique, will be learning about interactivity. So what do I mean by interactivity? I am referring to making LED art that has more than just static light or pre-made patterns that loop endlessly. A true way to make artwork boring? No. We are going to incorporate sensor-based input to control real-time generative visualizations for our LEDs. This means the artwork will react and respond to its environment and to the viewers when they engage with it. This is the best way to make an immersive experience for those who participate with your art. I feel that many artists could be focusing on interactivity in much more imaginative ways. I promise you, incorporating interactive components into any art project is going to make your work stand out from the rest. So, I would like to spend a few moments now sharing some examples of interactivity. Nothing too complex, but it will help to give viewers a sense of what interactive LED art can be. So here I have an Autodesk One. This is a plug-and-play device that I designed, which analyzes audio in real time and generates music visualizations for smart LED pixels. I spent a long time tweaking the design of this box because I needed a user-friendly way for musicians, producers, and event professionals to easily connect a sound source and LED strips or stones and then generate sound visualization to LEDs in real time. I didn't want to deal with a computer or expensive software, so everything is localized and runs standalone inside a sturdy, robust enclosure. So this is the Autodesk One. Here is another example. It's a fun-looking little unit that has a laser rangefinder installed into it. And again, lets me easily connect LEDs. This visualization is pretty basic, but the hardware in these units are quite similar and follow the same conceptual workflow. Finally, I will play a brief video of Thematic Star, one of my larger format projects that has been shown at the Portland Winter Light Festival and was featured in the Great Big Story video by CNN. example to demonstrate this concept is to take a vibration sensor, such as this piezoelectric disc, and tape it to a photodiode, such as this simple LED here. When I strike the piezo disc, it converts my kinetic energy into an electric current, which has just enough energy to briefly flash the LED. No computer or external power is needed. Pretty cool, right? In the case of my Audio-Lux One, things are more sophisticated, but the underlying concept is still the same. My kinetic movement produces vibration energy and sound energy for the microphone input to convert into electrical energy. Then the microcontroller and the internal circuit transfers stored potential energy into radiation energy. This is a very bright and more continuous LED light output. So let's take a closer look at the different components typically seen in an interactive digital art project. Sensor input. There are a wide variety of sensors, such as a microphone for sound, piezoelectric disc for vibration, a photodiode for light, gyroscopes for 3-axis movement, an ultrasonic rangefinder for distance, and so on. You can even use electric circuits to determine the electric charge of a finger touching a conductive surface, known as capacitive touch. Each type of sensor lends itself to certain types of interactivity. It can be a good source of inspiration to design a project around different sensors. Output devices. Outputs can include analog or digital video signal, speakers to create audio, transducers to create tactile vibration, motor servos to produce rotary movement, or of course, different kinds of light, such as LEDs. Output devices tend to be things we interface and use every day, and are pretty familiar to us. Microcontrollers and computers. We can run the whole gamut from tiny integrated circuits to big, powerful desktops, and even room-sized computers. In between, we have tiny, affordable computers like the Raspberry Pi, which can run high-level code such as Linux operating system, and then we have development microcontroller boards like Arduino or the Teensy, which run low-level code without needing an operating system at all. The landscape of micro-sized computing is constantly changing. Computers are getting smaller and smaller and more powerful with integrated peripherals such as wireless connectivity and onboard sensors. It's an exciting time, and you're lucky because there are so many options now that are extremely affordable and easy to use for your projects. I want to show you one more hardware example before we move on. This is an Arduino-compatible development board made by Adafruit called the Circuit Playground. It's also even cheaper than an Arduino Uno and packs a big punch with all of its features. I was impressed with this little microcontroller because it has so many integrated sensors and outputs. There are also many clear examples to serve as a launching pad for creative projects. In our next video, we will walk through installing everything you need to get started programming it. I'll show you some of the functionality and examples We will run through these next week. If you'd like to purchase the circuit playground to follow along with, I will post the purchase link in the video description below. Software. When we use computers to create interactive digital art, we are typically relying on software, which is a set of instructions that a computer can understand and usually serves a specific purpose, such as a calculator or a spreadsheet program. For creating interactive LED art, there are quite a few options now, and definitely a lot more user-friendly software than when I first started out. The software you choose can be dependent on different factors, including the cost. If you have to buy a $300 license, then that might not be as accessible as using free open source software. I try to use open source software as much as I can because it's a great way to learn more about the inner workings of software coding, and it's generally more flexible because if you need a specific feature, you can usually program those features yourself or find ways to extend the basic software with contribution from the open source software community. One such example, and it's how I got started, is using Arduino. Which is an open source electronics prototyping platform enabling users to create interactive LED objects. What's great about Arduino is that they have made it very user-friendly to get started with programming the microcontroller hardware. There's a huge community using Arduino and Arduino-compatible development environments with thousands of examples and tutorials online. There's a great starting point for anyone new to programming hardware and makes learning microelectronics relatively straightforward. For people who are new to programming, or when a project is at a certain scale, you may find that you get to a certain point of complexity where working with low-level Arduino code is counterintuitive. For people who prefer a more visual workflow, there are now some exciting options that are now available for visual artists who do not have a programming or tech background and would prefer to work with a GUI or graphical user interface and a more streamlined user interface. One such option that I am starting to use is called GeoPix, which is kind of like the Photoshop of lighting design. GeoPix allows you to draw out and create LED shapes in a 3D visualizer, which can also drive your real LED hardware. This makes experimenting with new designs much quicker, as you do not need to program everything from Frontman, which actually released for free recently. You can download the app today and begin playing around with it. And I will be showing folks how to get started in GeoPix a little later in this video series. The link to download GeoPix is in the video description below. So now you have a pretty good idea of the main components that go into creating an interactive LED project. In our next video, we will move beyond the basic theory and start with a practical, hands-on activity. We will become familiar with the Arduino hardware and software, as well as the processing software language. I'm trying to keep the amount of hardware required to a bare minimum, but you will need a laptop with a built-in microphone and an Adafruit circuit playground and an Arduino Uno. or similar compatible microcontroller, as well as a USB A to B cable, the same as a printer cable. If you would like to jump ahead with the series, and then I may want to save on shipping costs, I would also recommend purchasing a small reel of individually addressable LED strip. I have links in the video description where you can buy these main components this week if you do not already have them. The total cost should be less than $50, but also ask around because maybe a friend, co-worker, or teacher might have one you can borrow. Thank you for tuning in. If you enjoyed this video and would like to follow along with the series, please hit subscribe, and I will see you next week for some hands-on fun with this exciting LED hardware. Goodbye.